On today's hot sheet, I'm discussing housing inventory, a Q3 home affordability report, and new standards for luxury homes. Today is Monday, October 6th, 2025. I am Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. Live from my Connecticut studio. Pleasure to be with you here on a full week of the hot sheet. Granted, anything can happen in camera land, Haley. Hopefully, Haley, you're not going to let that happen, right?
No, it's not going to happen.
All right, good. So we're going to be here for a full week. It's the only show on the internet that does this Monday through Thursday when we don't have camera blow-ups. Let me know in the live chat where you're tuning in from. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. Let's get into it right away. We do this at the beginning of every single week. If you're new to the hot sheet, share this with somebody who could benefit from a 24-hour look back on housing, whether they're an agent or an attorney or an inspector or a lender in our space. This is for housing professionals. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you share this with someone who can benefit from it. But we look at inventory at the beginning of every single week. Big thing I'm looking for here this week is, were we going to see any increase? Remember last year, September, we continued to increase all the way in through mid-October, and I'm kind of calling it like, I'm just going to call it here. I think this is it. I think we are now going to get into the seasonal decline. We moved up, last week from 862.5, so about 862,500 on weekly inventory from a week ago to 863, almost 864,000. You see that this has been really moving flat. September was a net negative, or August was a net negative. We're just not gaining on inventory, where last year, August, September, and into October, we were on the gain. By mid-October, you're going to see the seasonal decline on inventory. We're up 17.66% more than last year. At one point during the spring, this number was 31+%. So we've lost half of the momentum on the inventory gains on last year. And we're still well above where we were last year at about 734,000. So a healthy 100,000+ over where we were last year. But it's over. I'm calling it. We're not going to see an inventory pop here at the end of the year. In fact, I'm comfortable saying, and this is me just making a prediction, don't hold any weight there, but I think it's over. We're going to start seeing that seasonal decline. And sellers are just not motivated to engage with where the buyers are at right now. Hey, buyers think everything's overpriced. They want a better deal. And there's a limited amount of buyers. And sellers are like, I'm just not cool with that. I'm not impressed. I'll just keep the house. I'll come back on in the spring. And trust me, there's a lot of would-be sellers, if they felt better about what the demand is going to be on the other side. There are sellers that would be on the market if they felt better about it, but they'll just keep the house. And I think you're going to see more just pull it off. And the next 3 months, the last quarter here of the year, is going to be interesting. Does the market kind of move slow? The last 3 years tells us, hey, transactions grinding at that 4 million count, and it might continue to grind. So back in the spring, some sellers didn't get the price they wanted. They started to withdraw their listings, and most sellers are home buyers, right? So if they're going to sell, they're going to buy something. And, that's also creating a pause. As the rates have crept a little bit lower, you haven't seen this big uptick in all of a sudden seller interest that, I'm going to go out and buy. They haven't gotten low enough is the point. They haven't gotten a 5 handle in front of them. New listing data this year peaked on May 23rd. And so that's the earliest time in recent history that that's been the peak. So, we got into the summer months and now fall, and there's just not a lot of new demand to get the house onto the market. 64,000 plus new single family listings last week. And that was a little bit of a bump up from the same week a year ago, but we're on the same trend line of the last, 3+years. And that's basically all-time low numbers for new listings. If you're a seller on the market, you're certainly reducing at a higher rate than we've seen in years past. In normal years, you're close to a 42% right now. Typically, a third of homes come on the market will reduce price before they sell. We're starting the week with demand. Remember last week when we just on Thursday when we looked at mortgage applications, we saw our first week over week negative growth on mortgage applications. So breaking a kind of a long streak there on week over week. So far this year on mortgage application data, we have 7 positive, 2 negative, and 9 straight weeks of double-digit year-over-year growth. 35 straight weeks of positive year-over-year data here in 2025, and 9 in the double digits. 22 consecutive weeks of double-digit growth year-over-year. Okay, so mortgage applications are improving. Still, when you zoom out on this and you look at it in comparison to the GFC or to 1995, we're still down in the lowest levels of mortgage application data. So that buyer, demand that's out there is still just not all that attractive to sellers. Sellers are rather wait for something better. Okay, I could have this in the hand, but I'll wait and see what comes. This isn't good enough to hold on to. Pending sales come in at the week at 64,000 plus, 61,000 plus last year. Starting to see a little bit of a tick up here over the last few weeks on weekly pendings. Cancellations have been high, so we'll see if that reaches existing home sales in about 60 days. Existing home sales can't get any lower than kind of where they've been at. All right, there's your inventory update here as we kick off this week. Looking at affordability for buyers, if the buyer demand pool will improve, Adam reports that the third quarter is seeing sees homes grow less affordable in much of the country. Okay, so trending the opposite direction of what buyers want. Okay, this U.S. home affordability report showing that median price single-family homes and condos were less affordable than historical averages in 99% of counties with sufficient data for the third quarter of 25. Okay, so that was the same high rate as last quarter, but the nation hit a new record high median home price of $375,000, according to Adam, in the third quarter of 2025. And these affordability woes are getting even worse. Okay, 580 counties in this analysis, 44+%, almost 48%, 259 counties had worse affordability index ratings in the third quarter than in the second. The good news for prospective home buyers is that the rates fell through the third quarter, and I think they got to improve a lot more for those buyers. They got to have a 5 handle for those buyers to say, you know what, feeling pretty good about where I'm at. I'll make that next step, certainly to get more sellers onto the market to increase inventory. That's also got to happen. So the top 10 counties here are as follows. These are 10 counties with the largest year-over-year increase in median home price through quarter three. Among these counties with a population of at least 100,050 single-family home and condo sales in the third quarter, this is where these big increases on median prices are happening. And if you look, there's a trend here. It's where those lower affordable options are. You're seeing a big jump as people tend to flock towards the affordable options when we're in an environment with affordability issues. Wichita County, Texas, saw a year-over-year percentage change in median home price at 21.3%. So 207,000 there. Okay. So Whitfield County, Georgia, comes in 21.5% year-over-year percentage change in median home price. Tompkins, County, New York, 22%. Fayette, Pennsylvania, 23%. You got Pennsylvania County, 23%. Jackson County, Michigan, 23%. Oh boy, look at these counties. Illinois, Tom Green County, Texas, Missouri, you've got twice on the list there. So these are all where you're seeing these big, huge jumps are all in the lower kind of price range here in this Adam report. The U.S. affordability and analysis here. Home prices have surged 58% since early 2020. And the typical wages have grown 28%. Okay, so this is what you're going to continue to hear about online. The disparity between wage growth at 28% over since early 2020, and then home prices at 58%. This is according to Adam's data. And the wage data reflects the first quarter of 2025. That gap in the two is what you're going to hear the most about. And when you hear this online, it's rarely going to mention the truth, which we talk about here, which is when you print all that money, what do you expect to happen? Assets like real estate are going to become incredibly inflated, and they don't ever go there. They just complain that wage growth hasn't kept up with home price growth, but they don't dig into the fact that we printed all this money, and of course those assets are going to go up. All right, so there's an affordability update there with Adam. Luxury listings. You can get this article on nowbam.com. Now starting at 1.3 million. So this is nationwide. It's up 60% since 2016. So last 10 years, 60% pop on how you define luxury. So the national definition, Realtor.com did this report, finds entry-level homes start at 1.3 million, entry-level luxury homes. Now, listen, luxury is going to be different for different communities. Nationwide, back in 2016, it was 796,000. So 800,000 to 1.3 is that 60% pop. But your market, you might be saying, geez, 1.3 million is definitely not luxury. Or you might be saying, man, in my market, 1.3 million would be super luxury. Like nothing sells for 1.3. So there's a local, there's a local thing to this luxury definition. You've got to dig into the data where you are locally on what luxury is. I'd be interested in the live chat. What is the luxury and introductory standpoint from where you're at? If you look at entry-level luxury, the way Realtor.com defines it, okay, it's the top 10% of homes, entry-level luxury. The top 10% of homes nationwide now starts at 1.3. So you want to be in the top 10% of homes nationwide. It starts at 1.3. High-end luxury is the 5% tier. Ultra luxury is top 1%. That starts at 5.4. So that's the definition. So if you wanted to know entry level in your market, you say, okay, what's the top 10% of homes selling? And that price is going to be where that price begins is going to be where entry level luxury starts for you. Luxury, it's one of those definitions that can be defined a variety of ways. The first time you sit in first class, it's really exciting. And it's like, wow, this feels like a perk. This feels luxurious even. And then the more you do it, you sit in first class and you realize it's just as disgusting as the rest of the plane. And the people in first class tend to be just as disgusting as most other attendees on commercial flights. And the seat's a little bit bigger. but nobody's wiped them down or cleaned them. And, you have relatively the same amount of storage. In fact, in first class, sometimes people in the back of the plane will shove their bags in over, and you got to say, hey, buddy, did you pay for this freaking, overhead storage bin, or do you want to go bring it down to where your seat is? So, that tends to wear off over time. There's different definitions for luxury. You've got to define it obviously for yourself, but in real estate, realtor.com is kind of taking the guesswork out, and entry level luxury starts at 1.3 million nationwide. That's the top 10% of homes nationwide. High-end luxury, top 5% tier, and ultra luxury is the top 1%. Back in 2016, $1 million home sat just below the top 5% nationally. Okay. Even in the years leading up to the pandemic, it was still enough to be considered top 10%. 1.3 million in some markets just doesn't get you a lot anymore. Here are the 10 metro and micro areas with the highest level luxury prices. Okay. Rifle, Colorado, $16.475 million, 515 listings. You've got Heber, Utah, 6.8 million. Key West, Florida, 4.5 million. There's 713 listings. LA, 3.9 plus 10,800 listings. Bridgeport Metro, so that's Fairfield County in Connecticut. That's 3.9 million, is 587 listings. Hawaii, Kauai, I guess. I have no idea, guys. My Hawaii people help me out there. 3.9 million, 724 listings. Not sure which island that is in Hawaii. Santa Rosa, California, 587 listings. 3.5 million. San Jose, 3.5. That's almost 1,200 listings. Barnstable Town in Massachusetts, 3.495 million, is 561 listings. And Naples, 3.5. I was going to say 1.3 million in Naples doesn't get you much, unfortunately, anymore. There's 1,880 listings at 3.5 million. So there you go. Top 10 metros and micro areas with the highest entry level prices. Here's where $1 million homes dominate. So the places with strong job markets, international appeal, limited supply, and this is the recipe for high dollar real estate. And here you go. You got New York, almost 1,200 listings at the just under 3 million threshold. LA, again, 10,000 plus listings at the 4 million threshold. Miami, over 10,000 listings at the 2 million threshold. Seattle, 3,100 listings at the just under $2 million threshold. Dallas has 3,000 listings, just under $1 million. San Diego, almost 3,000 at 2.9 million. San Francisco, almost 3,000 listings at 2.6 plus. Boston, 2,500 listings at 2.6 plus million. Atlanta, 2,500 listings at under $1 million, 930,000 there, 940,000. Washington, D.C., 2,500 listings at the 1.45 threshold. You fast forward, luxury is going to continue to be redefined by a higher and higher price point. And understanding what it is for your market is a good, just kind of a good backwards math problem. Top 10% of homes in your market. What's the entry level to get in there? Where does it start to get into that top 10%? And that would be entry level luxury for you. Danielle Hale, Realtor.com chief economist, says, while $1 million home still represents an important benchmark, it's not the luxury marker, okay, that it once was nationwide in many markets. $1 million doesn't get you what it used to. And again, that goes back to why properties have been so inflated. Here's what it costs to buy into luxury real estate. Okay. To get into the top 10%, it's 2.9 times the median list price, national average at 430,000 to get into the 1.3 million. You're at basically a 3x there to get into that top 10%. And really, COVID has changed luxury marketing, luxury real estate, not the marketing, so to speak, but a little bit on the marketing. But really, the pandemic changed it all when we printed all that money. All right. All the data that I use here on the hot sheet each and every single day, BAMX members, you can grab it right inside of School. Okay. Just go to school.com/BAMX for members. Grab the hot sheet classroom. Go over to the hot sheet classroom link. Replay is always available in there in one place, along with all of the slides used today, including the top 10 housing markets for cash offers from our partners at Zudilio. A lot of cash out there, and these are the markets that are benefiting the most over the past week. Las Vegas, Richmond, Atlanta, Miami, and Houston are your top 5. Dallas, Fort Lauderdale, Denver, Orlando, and Jacksonville. That's your top 10 cash offer housing markets for the past week. Zudilio's got more data on that than anybody. And Zudilio is partnered with BAMX to give their platform to every single BAMX member for free. We're basically paying you to be inside of BAMX. Go to school.com/BAMX. Get access to all the hot sheet materials each and every single week, our weekly social media drops, and the Zudilio platform, which is included in every single BAMX membership. That alone is a $2,400 deal, just included for free for BAMX members. So go to school.com/BAMX to grab that. 10-year starting here this week at 4.15 and relatively towards the lower end of where we are at over the last 90 days. Over the past month, it is on the higher side, but zooming out to the last 90 days, more on the lower side. 30-year fix ended the week at 6.34 last week. That was the lowest mark of the week. The Freddie Mac 30-year fixed weekly was also at 6.34. So 30-year fix, not at where we were at for that moment before the Fed meeting, which was 6.13 for the year-to-date low, but hanging tough there in the 6.3 range. 23 days outside of the next Fed meeting. CME Group has a 96% chance that there will be a quarter point drop. They've also flipped into a 4% chance that there will be no change to the federal funds interest rate. That's a little bit of a change up from last week. There's your hot sheet here to kick off this week. Looking forward to seeing you guys here all week, and looking forward to seeing those of you coming to Denver, Colorado, now in just over a couple of weeks, October 24th. Join me at the Fusion Rally. I'll be delivering a keynote there on October 24th in Denver, Colorado. It's Fusion Rally 2025. If you missed me at Sirhant or Jared James, or certainly our event, BAM Camp, this is the next opportunity, and I think the final opportunity of the year. I'll be doing a keynote here at the Fusion Rally 2025, a room filled with top professionals. These are business operators, people who really want to grow their business. This is an event speaking directly to people really, in this thing all in. And I will be there on October 24th. So grab your ticket. There's a code BZ25 to get your ticket there. And I will see you guys there October 24th. All right, there you go. There's your hot sheet. I will see you guys back here tomorrow morning. Until then, toodaloo.